But then something very critical came up. Richard Davison from Battelle, Columbus, Ohio, started coming to see me and said, hey, we may have to do a sea level canal study in Panama. Would you be interested? And I said, don't throw me in the briar patch. I'd had a couple of trips to Panama on some of these military consultancies, mostly jungle survival type things or tropical mobility studies. And I was very interested in going to Panama. And Davison came to Beltsville and said, well, you could go as a Battelle employee or you could go as a USDA employee. And I made the mistake of going as a Battelle employee because that led to a 7-year hiatus in my government service. But that hiatus moved me and the family to Panama. My boy was 3 and my little girl was 6 months when we moved lock, stock, and barrel from Beltsville, Maryland to Panama. But what a fabulous 2.5 years it was. Sponsored by the Atomic Energy Commission, Battelle was supposed to determine what radionuclides might get into the food chain if we excavated a sea level canal with nuclear devices. This meant that Jim Duke had to go out in the boonies and live with the various ethnic groups and find out everything that they were eating, drinking, or taking as medicine from the environment. So this was 2.5 years of full-fledged ethnobotany or even ethnozoology. I was collecting deer, alligator tails, iguanas, and sending it back to Battelle, and they would analyze to get the records of what minerals they contained now in the natural state, and they could predict from that what minerals, radionuclides would get in the food chain if these same people were eating these same things and if we were to excavate a sea level canal with nuclear devices. This interesting study that got me there for 2.5 years came to the conclusion that it was biologically feasible to do this, but it was not part of the study, but it clearly was not politically feasible to do this.
Oh.
Because they would say, well, if you're going to dig a canal down there with nuclear devices, why aren't you home digging the Tom Bigby canal with nuclear devices? And nobody had a real good answer to that. The answer is because the population density there is one of the lowest in the world. The rivers that I traveled, I would be going sometimes all day without seeing a human being. And the rivers are the roads, and if there are no humans along the road, there are no humans.
Did you travel by canoe?
Dugout, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
almost always. Some of the other people, the hydraulics, etc., were traveling by helicopter, but their job was not to learn about the people. Their job was to learn about the rivers and the rainfall. My job was I just moved in with the people and literally bought the pot off the stove and sent it back to Battelle, Columbus, Ohio.
Is that what you remember most, talking with the people and being out in the wilderness or in the wild areas?
There were a few unpleasant times a long way from home when it didn't feel so good, but most of the time it was extremely interesting learning how these people were so closely tied to the environment, much as our forefathers were years ago, and really wondering if we wanted to see those people lose all this. You've heard of paradise lost. Some people would think it was paradise, other people would think it was hell. I sort of thought,